Okay, so let's talk about threaded inserts, or knurled nuts as they're referred to technically. This is the brand that I get, and I need to make a note about these. When I first started using these, I designed a tool, a digital cutting tool, to make the holes in my parts that would fit this insert. Somewhere down the road, about 6 months ago, they changed the design to this. So the good one, the one that the helmet is designed to receive, is this guy right here. And you can see that the knurling is a little wider, and it also has a little groove towards the base, a little inset. This one is very different, and it's slightly wider in diameter than this one. If you get these that have the skinny knurling and the wider bottom, then you need to use the drill. If you get the original ones, they will drop right in. If you end up getting these, all you have to do is take a 3/16 drill bit and just take this 3/16, and this is basically what you're going to do. Just real quick. You're not trying to go in through the part. You're just trying to widen the hole a little bit so this other insert that's somehow just a little tiny bit wider will fit in there. Okay, so to install these, what I like to do is first get out all the screws that I'm going to need. And again, reference your hardware list and it'll tell you what you need of each. I like to put the knurled top, I think it's the top, where the knurlings are, in the top. So basically the screw goes in on that end. And I only go in a couple of threads, not too far. Because the thing you got to watch out for is you don't want to get glue on the threads at all, either on the screw or inside the knurled nut. I use super glue. You can use epoxy, however you got to work fast because it sets up in a couple of minutes, 5 minutes or so. So I like to use super glue because it gives me a little more working time. So what I do is I just take one of these Dixie cups, and it's got this nice concave base here, and I will just lay in a generous drop of super glue. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead and take this shroud mount here, and this is where we're going to install the threaded insert. So I'll take a toothpick, just a regular old toothpick, and roll the tip of it around in the super glue, and then I'll just go in the hole and kind of just swab around the inside of the hole. You don't need too much glue, but you do want to make sure you get coverage. Now what you don't want to do is get the glue all the way down on the bottom. You want it up on the sides. So get that out of the way, and then these are 10s, so we'll grab our 10s here and we'll just put it in. And this should just drop right in. There we go. I designed my screws to be perpendicular to the surface that they're going into. So it should be pretty much straight up and down. There is a little wiggle room to be off, if you're off just a little bit, but basically that's what you want. Roughly 90 degrees to the surface. So after this is sit for half a minute or so, you can go ahead and pull the screw out and set it aside. I don't use any kicker when I put these in because I want to have time to make sure that they're straight up and down. And I'll let it dry for probably an hour, just to make sure the super glue's set up. Okay, so I've gone ahead and installed almost all of the threaded inserts, but I wanted to do a top-down view of actually putting some in. Now, fortunately, I Plus Smile, the company that makes these threaded inserts, provided the correct ones this time, the ones that actually fit in the hole, so they're very easy to get in. Okay, so I got my toothpick. Just gonna put a nice, we're just doing 2 holes, so we don't need a huge amount of super glue here, but just get some on the very end. I kind of just spin it around, and then I like to just swab it in the hole, just like that. I'm trying not to get any down on the bottom. Sometimes if you use too much, you'll get like a little bubble where it's spreading super glue across, and it's just a thin membrane of super glue, and you can just pop that. And if I feel like it's a little light, I'll just go ahead and add a little bit more. And I'm getting it all up on the sides. So you can see there's little insets inside the hole where the glue will deposit. Just take your prepped out threaded insert, slide it in, push it all the way down, and that's it. So once the those are in and they're starting to set, I like to just back these screws out, get them out of there, and that way we don't have to worry about any glue creeping up. Okay, so something I want to point out. Almost all the threaded inserts go in the same way, except for two. And they are the ones that are for the blast shield axle. There is a hole in the ear base that is just above the hole that the rangefinder goes through. So the small hole is for the rangefinder, the big hole is for the threaded insert for the axles. I do these a little different because they only go in halfway. So before I was putting the knurling up at the top where the screw goes in. Now I'm putting it at the bottom because the top is going to be sticking out a little bit. It's going to be inside the axle, helping to keep the axle registered and also allowing us to adjust the tension on the axle by having a screw in there. So knurls for the axle go to the bottom. And there's kind of a trick to installing these. So everything's the same. Where we get our super glue, we kind of swab inside the hole on the sides. And then we're going to put this in. Let's make sure the knurls are down like I was saying. And we don't want to go too far in, so what I like to do is, depending on what you're doing with the rangefinder stem, you'll either have this little axle piece here, or you'll have the whole stem because you didn't take this part out. So what I like to do is just put the stem in here, and this acts as a stop for this screw to go in too far. It'll keep it right where it needs to be. And then the other thing that I do is once I kind of got it where I want it, I'll back this screw out. Back it out. This one's kind of tricky to put in, and this is why you don't want to use kicker, because this one takes a little bit of finesse. I'm not crazy about this design, to be honest, and I'm working on a better one, but I just haven't got it yet. So take one of the axle hubs, and you want to put the side that has the little pocket. We want to sit this down over the top of this threaded insert, because this will help straighten it out to where it needs to be. So once we get the axle hub over, like we do now, it should help line that screw up, or that threaded insert up. We'll go ahead and put the screw back in. So I'm putting this screw in here to help us align this threaded insert before it sets. It's actually getting pretty close to setting, but we can still maneuver it just a little bit. So once we've got this lined up, which we just did, let's back this screw back out, and we're going to take the axle hub off very carefully because we don't want to jostle the threaded insert. And yeah, that's what you want to happen. You want it to fly away and go into some other part of your workshop. Fortunately, they print fast.